If you'd like to be able to listen to the show without ads and have full access to bonus content, that's an option. To find out how, please go to dogmanencounters.com/podcast. Hey everyone, thanks so much as always for joining us for another episode of Dogman Encounters Radio. Really appreciate you listening. Wow, where do I start? If you listen to episodes 399, 488, and 538, you listen to tonight's guest come on and talk about the several Dogman sightings and encounters that she's had, or I should say more accurately, Dogwoman encounters that she's had with the Dogwoman that she affectionately calls Ember. Of course, I'm talking about Kim. Well, I originally had planned to bring Kim on here and just do a pretty traditional interview with her so she could catch you up and bring you up to speed on the stunning, most recent experience that she had with Ember, this sighting. But wow, earlier this evening, Kim had an experience that she never would have expected to have. I'm not going to get into the details, of course. I'm going to let Kim do that for you. But when she contacted me about an hour ago to bring me up to speed and let me know what happened, it blew me away. I really wasn't expecting that. Well, without any further ado, let's get her in here now. Kim, thanks so much for coming back.
Hi, Vic. Glad to be back.
Well, it's great having you. It is. Kim, for anyone listening who missed those episodes 399, 488, and 538, please give them a brief bio on yourself.
Well, are you talking about the actual episodes or just me?
Just you, whatever you'd like to tell them about yourself.
Oh, I'm a single woman. I'm over 60, so I'm a senior at this point. I am a retired nurse and I work part-time as a sound therapist, which is kind of an unusual occupation. And I live in my motorhome. And I just pretty much spend my time with my little dog and going to work and going to take care of my elderly mother. My life's not very exciting, except for when I run into Ember or the others.
Yeah, I'd say right there makes it more than exciting enough. I'd say too exciting, especially when you consider what happened this evening. Holy cow. If you could bring us up to... Oh, I'm sorry. Please continue.
You didn't tell me you were going to bring that up. Okay.
If you don't want to talk about it, then we don't have to.
No, it's okay because it's going to, well, yeah, it's okay. Might as well include it because it's going to change my aspects a little bit for the future.
Oh, I'm sure it will. Yeah, understandably so. Well, if you're sure you're okay talking about it, then please tell everyone listening what happened earlier today.
Oh gosh, talk about a total surprise. And I could not get it straight in my head that I was going to talk to Vic tonight, and this happened. Was coming back from my older mother's had gone out to dinner to celebrate her wedding anniversary. Just her and my dad's no longer with us. But anyway, I'm on a road that isn't quite a developed paved road. It's just black asphalt. No concrete curbs, just ditches. Anyway, this creature, person, at Dogman, whatever, came out of the woods and chased my car tonight. And I could tell what it was because of its feet and its hands. I've seen enough of these creatures now that I know what a Dogman looks like. I would never say, oh, it's a bear or it's a this. But in my mind, I was trying to tell myself it was a deer that maybe had gone crazy and was running down the road. I saw the feet and I saw the hands. I couldn't turn my head far enough back to see this thing because I was driving, but I could see it in my little tiny left mirror. I could see its feet. At first it was on all fours, then it stood up on two, and then it got back down on all fours and disappeared again because a car came up behind me. But it chased me for maybe 3 or 4 blocks, and then it went back into the woods. But I know this was a Dogman, and it was a blonde red color. It's nobody I've ever seen before. When the car came up behind me, it got up closer to me, and for the next 4 or 5 miles, it kept flashing its lights at me, and I just kept going because I wasn't going to stop. But anyway, I was chased by a Dogman tonight. Had to been. Could have been anything else.
Yeah, I'd say it had to be one too. Yeah, when you consider what you just reported about seeing. How fast were you going, Kim, when it was transitioning from fours to twos back to fours?
This is 30 miles an hour. It's a rural suburban road, and that's the speed limit.
Wow, because these
It was
guys can
it.
easily. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, they
Please
run.
continue.
I know they can run fast, but I it was just kind of loping along, and I think it just kind of stunned me. My natural reactions probably should have been to speed off, but I didn't.
Well, considering your past experiences with these guys, I mean, you didn't have any reason to be too freaked out, but this one could have presented quite a bit of danger. It's hard to say, although, if you're doing 30, it definitely could have caught you. And you told me that you're in a rag top. So I know
Yeah,
you
Volkswagen, Volkswagen New Beetle ragtop.
Yeah, you thought that when we first spoke about this earlier, you thought that you were even more vulnerable while being in that rag top. But like I told you, they could peel the roof off of a hard top like a tin can if they really wanted to get you. But yeah, that one for whatever reason was just trying to torment you. I don't need to tell you that, you already know, but I don't know why it was trying to torment you. I want to put this out there for everyone listening. This is something that I shared with Kim before we started recording here. It's just one of those quirky things. I mean, as far as quirky things go when it comes to dogmen, it's a mile long list. But one of the quirky things about dogmen that you need to understand if you're one of the people who listens to the show and think it would be so neat to head out into the woods and try to investigate one of these things. Of course, that's not Kim, but a lot of people who listen to the show do try to do that. Something you need to know and need to be aware of is for some strange reason, there's definitely a pattern I've noticed over the years of talking with so many people, thousands and thousands of dogman eyewitnesses, and that includes investigators too. If you go out and try to investigate dogmen, it's not that uncommon. It's somewhat uncommon, but it's not that uncommon for them to flip the script and wind up investigating you. That can come in the form of the dog man that you're driving miles and miles to go investigate in its territory, it coming and seeking you out at your home. It can also represent itself in another dog man you've never seen before showing up at your property that you never expected to see. I don't know what it is, but like I said, sometimes when you investigate dogmen, they flip the script and decide to investigate you. I don't know how long it's been, but the most recent case of that, I had a dogman investigator contact me, pleading me for help. You've got to help me, Vic. You've got to help me. A dogman I've been investigating, it followed me home and knows where I live. It's here now. So, yeah, if you're going to head out into the woods and try to do that, be warned. Do you really want to risk having one of these guys follow you home? Because that's when it really gets real. But moving on there, Kim, having had this experience earlier on, how do you think that might affect your interest in going out and trying to find Ember again to see her?
I don't know. I it's too early. It's too early to know because I had just well, as we had discussed when we did the initial interview, I've kind of lost my I haven't lost my caution, but I had lost my fear of Ember and her bunch. And I just at this time I just don't know because I run those streets all the time and there's a corridor that they stay in out there where I've encountered them multiple times, and now I've got this newbie. So there's there's more than just Ember and her bunch out there. So I don't know, Vic. I can't really answer that truthfully.
Well, this is all so new. I mean, you've got plenty of time to think about this and decide if you do want to continue heading out to try to seek out experiences with Ember in the future. There's no rush, but whatever you decide, I'm sure it's going to be the right decision. So, yeah, no concern there at all. The last time we spoke before when you contacted me about a week ago, Kim, you told me about several visits you had had by some dogmen. You think that one of those might have been Ember and another one might have been that big frightening male that always escorts her. But after we spoke that time, did any other dogmen pay you visits?
No, only those two, and of course they disappeared months ago. So no, but honestly, you and I both have had the feeling that those two were Ember and her mate. But at this point, I really don't know because I never saw the second one. All I saw was the big dark one, and I never saw him in the light. It was always after the sunset. So I really don't know. They could have been other dogmen, and if they were, that's just another frightening thought for me to be having because that means I've got even others. But let's hope not. I'm just going to keep thinking it was Ember and her mate.
Well, yeah, and we talked about the possibility that it is a different group of dogmen that paid you a visit. But the good news in that, if there is good news to be had when dogmen pay you a visit, is the fact that, okay, they know you're there. There's Kim, if they actually know your connection to Ember, but they saw you. They knew where to find you. If they wanted to harm you, they've had all these opportunities to do that, but they haven't. So thank goodness for that. I know that's only going to bring you so much solace, but I mean, when it comes to having dogmen paying you visits at your residence, you have to look for the bright spots anywhere you can get them.
Yeah, now they're gone. As far as I know, that's the bright spot.
Yeah, that definitely helps. Hope they never do return, but you never know. You really don't. Talking about strange, frightening things, you said that your grandson lives with you now, and something really unnerving happened related to that. Please talk us through that.
Oh, well, my grandson, it has a tiny home here, and somebody busted in the door. Um, but uh, and nothing was taken except like cat food and dog food. They didn't take any electronics or anything, so we don't think it was a neighborhood kid or anything. But we don't know for sure. But yeah, I busted at his door. It's been quite a while back, and the only thing they took was the food. So they had to, matter of fact, it was a bad bust in. It wasn't just to bust the door in. They had to replace the whole door frame. It had to be completely reinforced and rebuilt. So whoever it was pretty serious and was a pretty good size.
Yeah, I'd say they must have been. And if they broke in and all they took was the cat food, what does that tell you? There's a strong possibility. I don't want to go there, but it's a strong
Well,
possibility.
we had cats missing too. There's a lot of cats around here, and they're all catch and release feral cats. But my son feeds them, and he feeds so many of them, and they come to him. They may not come to anybody else. We had a whole bunch of those disappear. So I was thinking that maybe when those dog whatever they are, dog individuals were here, that they had maybe feasted on some of the neighborhood cats. Because everybody that's missing a cat always comes and asks my son, "Have you seen my cat?" Well, there wasn't just our cats around us, but it was other cats. There's no dogs that run this neighborhood. It was just the cats. But yeah, we had about 8 cats disappear that we know of. So it could have it was during that same period. So it was obvious they were here, maybe eating the cats.
Yeah, sounds like they just might have been. I'm so sorry to hear that happened. It's awfully impressive that your son takes care of them that way, because not many people do.
Yeah, he's kind of crazy that way. Yeah, if one's missing, he goes and there was one cat. He never did find him. He looked for him for 2 months. That's just how
Yeah.
he is. They all have names. They don't always have names that make sense or are very attractive, but they're all named, every last one of them.
Well, like I said, he's a good man. And that's the definition of altruistic right there. All right, Kim, about 3 weeks ago, you saw Ember again, and she wasn't alone. Please take your time telling us the story behind that. Give us every last detail that comes to mind.
Approximately 17 days ago, I ran into Ember. I was on the same I was actually driving on the same road that I saw her on the very first time that I ever saw her. But this time she was on the other side of the road. Whereas the first time I saw her, she was on the east. This time she was on the west. This is a squiggly country road. It's just a leftover from before they started making straight neighborhood roads. It just left, and it's just been paved. And it's fairly narrow, and it squiggles around. And I have to back up for a minute. I have to give some background on this. I have been searching for Ember. I've been searching for Ember for about 2 months, and well, almost 3 months, well, 2.5 months now, but I've already saw her, so that 1.5 month is wiped off. But for 2 months, I sought her out, because I drive the same streets all the time. I'm always out there, and I don't go up and down the streets, on a daily basis, maybe twice a week or anyway. And I have been seeking her out. I've been mentally and verbally calling for her because she was expecting, and I was really hoping to see her and to see her babies, even if it's for the last time. But anyway, I'm on the road and I'm driving Squiggly Road, and I'm thinking about Ember, of course, because I always do when I'm out there, because that's the most obvious place to think about her. The first place I saw her, as I came around a squiggle in the road that brings me to the right, and I'm driving straight towards the woods. There she was. She was about 30 feet away from the fence. That it is fenced. It's just barbed wire, old kind of farm fence. She was way back in the fresh green spring growth. You know how before everything gets bushy and tall and green and thick, had the new growth, and she was down on all fours. And her guy was with her. He was behind her, the same way he was last time I saw her. He was standing behind her into the trees. He does not like to show himself to me. But the thing about Ember is she has two babies. They were on her back. She's a bright spot. She's a very beautiful. She's a gray. She's a pretty thing. She's very very noticeable. It'd be hard for her to hide in the green growth, whereas the big black mate, it's not hard for him to hide. He's like matte black. He the dark you could ever come to is this guy. But Amber's just the opposite. She's like a I named her Ember. She's like the glowing flame, the glowing embers of the fire. She shows up. So I had no way to miss her. And she never did stand up. She was down. She was either on her knees or on her haunches. I never knew what or how for sure she was positioned, because there's green growth all around her. But she has two babies. They're cute. One is black like his daddy, and the other one is a charcoal gray with a white circle right under its chin. Almost a perfect white circle. And I never did get to see their bodies. All I got to see was the top of them, from their shoulders down, maybe is all I got to see, because they kept bobbing up and climbing around. They were on her back riding kind of like a possum, or like a possum does. The baby's right on the back, and they had nothing to do with me. They didn't even know I was there. They were too busy playing with her ears. They kept batting at her ears and jumping around and switching around, and all of this whole thing only lasted less than maybe 4 minutes. The whole thing. um I got to see a foot and a hand, but it was just in passing, because when she turned around to leave, the babies did the opposite. They slid around and were against her chest as she walked away on all fours. She never stood up. Not one time did she ever stand up. So I'm thinking that her position is because of those babies, and that's how she carries them. She had two breasts that I thought she had more at one point in time, but she had two breasts that were activated, and I could see them, and she looked okay. Vic had asked me how her body looked, and I really couldn't see her. She didn't stand up, but she looked okay. She didn't look saggy or baggy, or looked like her slender little self. She's gotten taller. She's about a foot taller, but like I said, I didn't get to see her, so I don't know how tall she is now. But the last time I saw her that she had actually stood up, she was about 6 foot. And let's see, they look like little monkeys. They're the babies look like little monkeys. They're about the size of a 10 to 12-month old human. And I have no idea when she could have had them, but they've been gone from, if they were visiting me, they've been gone from my home area for the last 2.5 to 3 months. So if that was her, then she's gone off and had these. When I saw her, the day I had the flat tire and I actually got to see her that she was pregnant, she just had a little bitty round basketball belly. But it was enough to know that she was pregnant because of the way it was positioned. But she got two little monsters, and they look like little monkeys. I couldn't tell their eye color. Um, I guess the eyes were dark. I really couldn't tell their eye color. They were just kept bouncing around and moving. I could see their little ears. The ears are a little different than the adults. They're not quite as straight up on top. They're probably just not established. You know how some dogs' ears get stronger as they get older and stand up higher. I think these little ones just their just ears just aren't standing up yet, but they look like little monkeys. And there were just two, and I couldn't tell if they were boys or girls because I never got to saw that part. I never got to see that part of their body. But they're sure cute. They're sure cute. Anyway, that's pretty much my story. The male, um, made a noise just like he did before, and she said, "Whoop, I gotta go." And that's when they left. And like I said, this whole thing was maybe 4 minutes if I was lucky. And I did stop with my car running because I was just in shock and thrilled and just I had to see. And no, you can't take pictures of this stuff, guys. You just can't. It don't work. You if I moved, reached for, touched, or changed anything, it would probably scare her off, and I'm just not going to risk that. So the only person that has the photographs of them is me and my brain, but I feel so lucky and privileged, and she's just as beautiful as ever. And if these things are real, and they're just like us, they just want to survive. So that's what these guys are out there doing, surviving with their little family.
Yeah, it's a definition of scratching out a living. Pun intended, of course. How close was Ember to you when you first saw her?
She's about 30 feet from the fence. They were back quite a ways.
If she was 30 feet from the fence, how close were you to the fence?
You're probably 6 feet from the fence because I was in the road.
So you were close to her, really close.
Yeah, I was really close to her. Like I said, I came around the curve and there she was. But I've been seriously looking for her now for quite a while. So
Wow, yeah, that is really close. Now, just so I'm clear on this, was she on the driver's side of your car or the passenger side?
she's on the driver's side.
On the driver's side. So you had your window down, you're looking at your driver's side window, and she's literally 36 feet away. Was it a windy day or pretty calm or somewhere in between?
Semi-rainy. We've had Seattle weather here for uh quite a while. Matter of fact, we did today. These guys seem to be active on the rainy days. I don't understand it, but yeah, it had been a rainy day. It wasn't raining at that point in time, but it had rained. Not hard, no storms, just rain, just soft spring rain.
Well, what you just said there, Kim, it brings something else to mind I need to address. I've spoken with people who have these things around their homes. Some people live way out and they've had interactions with these guys and they do things to quote unquote protect themselves from the dogmen that are around. Well, one of the ideas that I've heard put out there where they say they do this or do that to protect themselves, one of the things they do mistakenly is they'll wait until it's really nasty. If they have to go out, for example, if there's a really nasty snowstorm and they forgot to take the trash out and they think, okay, well, I'll just wait until it gets nastier. It's supposed to get nastier later on. I'll just take the trash out then. Understand these guys are seen in some of the nastiest conditions just because it's snowing and blowing or it's a really bad thunderstorm. Don't think for a second that these guys aren't out and about because of the nasty conditions. Don't think that because there have been plenty of encounters reported where people saw them under conditions like that. But if you think about it, being a predator, that's when the hunting's its best because if you're a prey animal and you're bedded down like a deer, for example, because of the snowing and blowing, or if it's a real bad thunderstorm and you've got all that rain coming down and all that wind, you can sneak up on a deer and it's never going to hear you. So, yeah, if you do have these guys around, don't think for a second that because it's nasty out that you can go check the mail, you can go take the trash out because they're not going to be around. That's just not how it is. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. Moving on, Kim, did did Ember seem to be annoyed by the pups doing all that on her
Yes.
back, messing with her
Yeah,
ears?
yeah. She kept the let's see, the one that was have to okay, so that's her left side. The the one that was behind her left ear, she kept reaching up and taking its paw off of her ear. She,
Poor thing.
yeah, poor thing. They're sure cute, Vic. They're unbelievably cute. Unbelievably cute.
Yeah, cute, but a handful, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was one guy who
And
found one by itself and he made the mistake of trying to pick it up, and I guess it bit him.
well, these guys were healthy, so they probably would bite somebody that tried to go after them. Of course, that's their natural instinct. These are wild animals.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah, it'd be crazy to try to do that, especially to think there wouldn't be any blowback from doing that. Were the pups smooth or jerky in their movements?
Smooth or jerky? Um, no, not jerky, just bouncy. They didn't seem to be uncoordinated, if that's what you're looking for.
Huh, well, sounds like they're off to a good start. I can only imagine what Ember must go through trying to keep them in check. Can you imagine two of them?
Yeah, yeah, she's got her hands full. So does he.
Oh, I'd say so. Speaking of him, I know when you saw him for the first time when he was escorting Ember, he looked put off when he saw you come to visit, basically to visit Ember is what you're doing. Did he look put off this time as well?
No, but he didn't let them stay long. He gave the signal and off they went. No, he just stood there, and of course, like I told you when we interviewed, I had to keep an eye on him, and I kept trying to look at her and watch the puppies at the same time. Puppies, pups, whatever they are, and watch them all. It was quite an adventure to try to take all that observation in. He pretty much just stayed back in the trees like he always does. He was probably 4 feet behind her, maybe. That's a guess. That's probably not even accurate. But he doesn't come out. He stands up behind the trees and likes to peer up over the limbs at you. He wants you to know how tall he is. He wasn't down on all fours and being humble like her. He was all stood up tall and just looked at me and looked at Ember, and pretty soon he just made the signal and off they went. She turned around and they left.
Yeah, with him around, I'm sure security is not a problem at all. I'm sure he's got that well in hand. Did the pup seem to have any trouble clinging to Ember?
No, no. I don't think so. They kept climbing up her back. The one fell off, and she kind of reached around, and I could see where she took her hand and scooped his little butt and put him back on her back. So they might, with in their antics, they might lose their grip and fall off. Would be my guess.
What really makes me wonder about this is I know they can definitely use their hands to cling on to her, but if they're moving around from her shoulders down around to her chest, I wonder if they're using their feet too. Could you tell?
Well, you have to realize that if she was on all fours, whether she was sitting on her haunches or not, they have the slope of her back to be on. So they're not hanging down where they're going to fall off. They have the slope of her back to, stay on. So that's not as I don't think that's as difficult as if she actually were standing up.
Well, no, definitely not. But didn't you say they moved around down to her chest also?
They swung well when she got up. What when she got up? When she turned around to leave, they flipped around and were on the front. And I couldn't tell how they were attached then because I couldn't see them anymore. They were attached on the front. She had them on the front. So maybe they have a different kind of grip when she's, walking like that. I can't answer that because I didn't get to see it.
Oh, sure. Well, it's understandable. I mean, you're doing the best you could to take all this in. I mean, I can only imagine what it must have been like to have that experience there and to try and take all that in. I mean, my head would be spinning. It's spinning right now just trying to think about what it must have been like. Holy cow, that's intense. You told us about some of the features that the pups had, and it makes me think that the answer to this is going to be yes. I'm going to ask you anyway. Could you see any features on the pups that gave them puppy-like features? No matter what the breed of puppy, talking about dogs here, no matter what the breed of puppy or dog is, you can always tell when you're looking at a puppy because of its features. Is that the same thing here with these Dogman pups?
Pups, puppies don't have sharp, distinct features like adult dogs do. And these guys are the same way. They're just kind of blunted in a way. They're softer. Their features aren't as sharp. They're just kind of softer and more rounded. Kind of pudgy. In their, their the way their weight's distributed. So yeah, they definitely aren't. They do change. They're not born instant, sharp, scary looking, big mouth dogmen. These are tiny little soft puppies. In their appearance. So they look like little monkeys. Their faces aren't quite as wide, and their snouts aren't as long, and they definitely don't have the teeth.
Yeah, not yet, but that's soon to come, unfortunately. I know it's probably too hard to tell just by trying to take in all this, but I'm going to ask you anyway. Were you able to see if their body conformation made it look like they were adapted to ambulate bipedally, or if maybe they looked like they were just adapted to move around on all fours?
I don't. I no. I don't think I can answer that because their little limbs just didn't look. Their limbs. You know how the adults, the back limbs are different than, or the back limbs are different than the front arm limbs. These guys didn't have that disproportion. These guys looked more like their arms and their legs were the same length. But like I said, I never got too clear of a glance at their actual arms and legs. But they seemed like they just weren't. They need to grow, and they need to grow into their bodies. No, I think they probably are a little bit handicapped in their ability to travel. They're just still so little. I don't think they were that old. I just don't think they were that old yet. There's a lot of animals in the world that are born and they hit the ground and can walk, and because they have to. That's what nature requires. And these guys, I don't know. I don't think they have that quite as much of a start in life. I think they really need to be nurtured and watched from their parents. I think they're more helpless than your average animal.
Well, even so, they're in good hands. I mean, can you imagine being the one who tried to go in and harm them? That wouldn't be good.
No, you wouldn't get near him with him around.
Oh, no doubt. Or with Ember around. Yeah, that wouldn't work
Well,
out
that's
very
true.
well at
That's true
all.
too. Amber doesn't scare me. He does.
Well, yeah, she doesn't frighten you, but imagine trying to hurt her pups. Then she would.
Yeah. Yeah, she wouldn't. I don't think she'd let me near them. I think she's just gonna let me look at them, and that's all I'm gonna get. So no, I wouldn't attempt that. I'm not. No, I'm not that stupid.
And I'll tell you what, Kim, I think a good reason why she lets you see her, why she let you see the pups, is because she knows you're not going to try to hurt her, especially try to hurt her pups. So it doesn't surprise me she did. It really doesn't. What kind of thoughts were rolling through your head, around in your head that night? Did you get a wink of sleep?
No, no. No, I didn't. I really didn't. I was so excited, and I went out to my mom's, and I was on my way to my mom's, and I got out to her house, and she kept saying, "What's wrong with you? Why are you so quiet?" Because I couldn't tell her. I couldn't. Yeah, it kept me disturbed. And then I went to work the next day, and even though I have a one friend at work that kind of is a cryptid fan and that kind of thing, and I've talked to them about my experiences. Yeah, I was reeling for several days because I didn't believe it to begin with, and I felt privileged on top of that, and I was just ecstatic. I was happy. I mean, it was really cool. It was like seeing your friend's new baby, you know. It's-
Well, yeah,
or
times 100.
my my godchildren.
Your god dogman, or I don't know how
Yeah,
you'd put that.
I don't know what. How would you term it? How would you term that?
Yeah, that's a good question there. For anyone listening, if you have any questions that you want me to ask him, please type them in all caps. That way I don't miss them. I appreciate it. Did you go out the next day trying to see Ember again and her pups?
No, 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 because I don't want to wear out my welcome. It took me months to get to see her to begin with. I don't want her to think that that's what all I do. So I've given up on that. I won't pursue her again. I probably won't pursue her again after my experience tonight on the way home. But we'll see. I mean, we'll see. The future just, is an open book.
Yeah, that it is. And the great thing, like I said, is you don't have to rush or anything. You can take your time and really think it through to decide how you want to handle that. Do you want to go back out sometime down the road and see if you can see her again or not? So that's no pressing matter there. When you told your friend who's into cryptids, I'm sure you told him about Ember, but did you break the news about the puppies to him or her as
Yeah,
well?
yeah. I got a lot of silence and looks of disbelief, but that person did listen. I got tolerated. I'm not sure if he believed me or not.
Yeah, well, if he doesn't believe you, then that's a him problem, not a you problem.
Kind of how I feel about it.
Yeah, it's good you understand that. It really is.
I
You
really
think
don't care what anybody thinks,
that's
honestly.
good. That's a good policy to have. It really is. What are you going to do if sometime down the road here, in the near future, even, she pays you a visit with those pups in tow at your home?
Call you and I'll tell you about it.
Well, I'd love to hear about it. Is that something that you've put any thought into, the possibility that might happen?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that it's a possibility, but there's always the possibility that's the last time I ever get to see her too. I mean, that's just how the world rolls. They may take off and go somewhere else. Maybe that's what she was doing. Maybe she came to tell me goodbye. She's like, "Here's the kids, see you later."
I don't know, Kim. Even if you don't go out actively looking for Ember, I've just got this feeling that that road where you saw her, you're coming back from your mom's house. Well, you've got to travel that road in the future anyway. So who's to say that she's not going to force another sighting to happen? I'd be surprised if you don't see her again sometime.
You're probably right. It wouldn't shock me. I mean, it would be a nice surprise, and I don't know. It just every time I see her, it's like a whole new thing. It's like I've never seen her before. Every time I see her, it's a whole new experience. Even though I know the others have happened, each time it happens, it's that's the thing right then and there, that moment. So we'll see. I don't know.
Yeah, well, time will tell. She sure does seem to be taken by you, so that's why I say I just would be astonished if you never another sighting, if you never see her again.
Well, it's like I told you when we interviewed. I've been open-minded and skeptical the whole time I've had these experiences, but I definitely believe in the mind speak at this point because I really feel like she came back because I was looking for her. And I think she heard it or felt it or just knew it. These guys have abilities and uh, things that we're just never going to know, we're never going to understand. They're more advanced than us in some ways and not as advanced in others. So who knows? But yeah, I believe in the mind speak, and I believe in the fact that they are attracted to certain people. I mean, their animals are attracted to me in general. I'm not a dog whisperer or anything like that, but some people that I know have had, angry, more, how do you say, what am I, just dogs that just don't take to people, and they take to me, and of course, all these cats. I have more cats. I don't even own a cat, but I have lots of cats. They sleep on my porch, on my trampoline, on my lawn chairs. I've got cats every morning. There's one little cat that sleeps on my doormat, and I have to say, "Okay, YOLO," because they all have names. You got to move because I got to get out the door because I can't open the door. So I just feel like maybe that's part of it. That I'm just a person that the animals are attracted to, and that's the same case because Ember's an animal when it comes right down to it.
Yeah, that she is. Unless she has supernatural qualities, which that's entirely possible as well. It's hard to say.
Yeah, but they're still an animal out on some in some aspect, because that's how they live. I mean, look how they live. They hunt deer and they live outside, so they're in the natural world. They are an animal regardless of all their other skills or abilities.
Yeah, that's a good point. It really is. Well, let's get some of these listener questions. The first one up is from Glenn Kamada, and Glenn wants to know if the pups had tufts on their ears.
Tufts on their ears. No, I don't. Well, if they did, the ears weren't sticking up. On Ember, her ears stick up, and the tufts are like little flags on top. The baby's ears aren't straight up. They're not as substantial as Ember's are yet. So I don't know if they had tufts or not. I'm
Well, you can't be
sorry.
faulted for that. No need to apologize. I mean, like I said before several times, you had so much going through your head. You can't be faulted for not noticing that. And I'll bet you good money they didn't have tufts yet. That's probably something down the road they're going to form. But at that young age, I highly doubt it. And now that we're talking about ears, did you notice if Ember had her ears sticking straight up or laid back?
Straight up. Well, she laid them back couple times trying to dodge the puppy's hands, but they were straight up because she was straight up and folk and facing towards me, my direction. She was listening and picking up whatever I was trying to give off. So they were straight up.
I just can't get this image out of my head of those little monsters going after her ears. Can you imagine how frustrating that would be? Wow.
Yeah, but you also have to realize how cute it was. They really are cute. And anybody that's lured into trying to catch 'em one of them, oh my goodness, I can understand why. They of course, they wouldn't get to keep it. Somebody would come and take it away. But they're really cute. It'd be tempting. They're really cute.
Oh,
But
I'll
they
bet
but
they
you have
are.
to realize what they grow into. They grow into that big black thing.
Yeah, they don't always stay
Yeah,
cute.
right. One of them is a coal black, and I don't know if they're male or female. I didn't get to see their parts. But if that little black one's a male, yeah, it'd be
Yeah.
anyway.
He just might turn into an 11, 12 footer someday. You never know. And like I told you,
Yeah.
everyone listening, you don't know this, but I did mention this to Kim behind the scenes that just imagine Ember's obviously taken by her. There's no debating that whatsoever. Well, there's every possibility, maybe even a probability that if she keeps bringing her cubs around, her pups around to see Kim, that they might grow up having this fascination with Kim as well. And with that in mind, if maybe the black one is a male and he grows to full maturity at 11, 12 feet, she might have an 11, 12 footer coming to pay her visits down the road. And that's not going to give you the warm and fuzzies, but that's a heck of a lot better than having an 11 to 12 footer that doesn't like you paying you visits. Just something that I wanted to bring up to remind you of. It's been a while since I said that to you, but you never know what the future holds. Let's move on to the next question here. It's a general question from Kaz VA, and he wants to know, do you think that their eyes change based on the threat level? I don't. People report seeing shifts in color from their eyes, their eye shine, but I think that's nothing more than them looking in one direction when you're seeing them for the first time, and then when they look in another direction, the color of their eye shine changes. You can see that in cats, you can see that in dogs. I don't know definitively that's what's going on there. Maybe it is some type of supernatural quality, ability they have to change the color of their eye shine. I don't know, but that can be explained away in a natural way. That's just basically what I'm saying with regards to that. This next question is from Kelly N, and Kelly wants to know, were you able to feed Amber and her babies?
No, I wouldn't do that. If you start feeding them, sometimes they start expecting that from you, and that's can be a problem. So I wouldn't even try to do that.
Yeah, it's good you know that. It can be a big problem. This next question is from Diego Fangs. And Diego, so that you know, I noticed you asked this question multiple times. So I deleted some of the spots where you asked this question. If you ask it just one time in all caps, I'll notice that and I'll save that. So please keep that in mind for future notice. But he wants to know, how big was the dog man that chased you?
Oh, um, well, the dog man that chased me tonight was a thin one. I'm thinking it was a juvenile. I would say it was probably 5 or 6 feet. Um, but all I really saw of it was its arms and legs running. I didn't get a really good look at its face. I tried but I couldn't look back over my shoulder because I was driving, and I kept changing the angle of my mirror, and I kept trying to see it. I really couldn't see its head. So, but running, I'd say it was about 5 or 6 feet because usually it takes a couple feet off of them when they're on their all fours, and this one changed. So I'm saying about 5 or 6 feet. I'm thinking it was a juvenile though because it was thinner.
Yeah, sounds like it just might have been. If that's the size it was, it must have been a juvie. The next question is from Christina yesterday, and Christina wants to know, hi, Kim, you said the babies look like monkeys. Do they have any dogman features? Thank you.
Oh yeah, they look like well, monkeys. They don't have monkey faces. I just was saying that to compare their activity, the way they're jumping around and carrying on and being ornery, and they just remind me of a couple little monkeys. But no, they have dogman features. You can tell they're dogmen. There's no doubt about that.
Oh, I don't doubt that at all. This next one up on deck is from Cascake, and they want to know, did you hear any noises made by the pups?
Come to think of it, yeah, a few little squeals, but nothing too notable.
Can you compare the squeals to any other animals that you know of?
I would say similar to a couple of larger breed puppies chewing on and wrestling with each other. The those kind of noises.
Wow, I said it before several times, but I'll say it again. I can only imagine what it must have been like to sit there and watch all this, to take it in.
I just
Incredible.
wished it lasted longer.
Oh, I bet you do. This next one's from Kasaki as well. He wants to know, or she wants to know, was there any lack of noise during the encounter?
No, no, there's not this big awesome silence when I see these guys. The nature just seems to go on. They don't stop it. I mean, the wind still blows and the leaves still clatter, and no, it doesn't go silent. I know that's a popular thing, and I know it happens, but it not when I see these guys, not under a friendly environment like we have.
Yeah, thank goodness your interactions have been friendly. Hope they stay that way. This next question is from Cascake as well. They want to know, how many stone did the little monkeys weigh, do you think?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't can't do the stone, but um, I'd say they were probably uh, I'd say they were probably close to maybe 12 pounds each. That's a guess. That's a very unprofessional guess.
Oh, that's all you can do is guess. There's nothing unprofessional about that. I mean, there's so many things about these guys we don't know. All you can do is just estimate things like that. This next question is from Bang Bang, and she wants to know, do the pups have adult teeth?
I couldn't see any teeth. I couldn't see any teeth. They don't, I don't know. I don't know. I couldn't see any teeth, and they weren't grinning. The adults have this weird grin they give you. These guys weren't doing that yet.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, you had so much going through your mind, and at 36 feet away from you, and they're moving around and all that, it'd be impossible to see their teeth like that, at least well enough to tell what type of teeth they had, that
They
is.
really weren't trying to chew on anything. If they were trying to, like, chew on our ears or something, I might have been able to see something like that, but they weren't trying to chew on anything.
I think it's really impressive that you noticed all the details you did. You did a really good job. You really did. This next one for you is from Christy Ann, and Christy wants to know, it's a general question. Do dogmen mate for life or find other mates? Well, that's a question that you'd have to really have multiple dogmen under close observation for a long period of time to be able to answer. So, yeah, unfortunately, don't have that answer for you. All we can do is guess. Moving to the next question, that would be from Caskia again. They want to know, did the pup smile at you?
No. Like I said, the adults have these strange grins they give you. The pups weren't smiling. The pups weren't really paying attention to me. They were too busy making their mother crazy.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Huh. Sounds like she had her hands full. This next question for you is from, there it is, Harrison Wargo. And Harrison wants to know, what was the impression you got about their personalities?
The pups,
Yes.
they definitely were in good shape. They had lots of energy and they were ornery as the day is long. But they're
Yeah, so
babies. I mean, that's all they have to do is play, eat and sleep and play and whatever, you know. They're definitely just babies. So yeah, they were bright. They were bright though. I mean, because they were just just bothering her ears and each other. They're
never a dull moment.
no.
Yeah, there can't be with those two around. Caskie also wants to know, how many cats do you have in total?
I don't have any. There's 30 feral cats here that my son feeds, and then they think they have 4 that are house cats of their own.
Yeah, sounds like your son, like you said, he handles all that. So I didn't think you had any, but that is a good question nonetheless.
I don't need any cats. They volunteer. I have a little Pomeranian, and she gets along with it. Matter of fact, she'll run with the cats, but I don't have. I'm not a cat person. I never knew my son was either until he started doing this.
Yeah, sounds like he's just a flat out animal person, which of course that's
Yeah,
a good thing.
he is, and I'm proud of him. I'm glad he's has that bent to him.
Yeah, you should be proud of him. That's admirable. This next one is from Bug, and Bug wants to know, have you thought of giving Ember's mate and her babies names?
Well, um, yeah,
I knew
I
it.
c- I I c- okay. The mate, I just call him Big Guy, so he's Guy. Okay, I really Ember is Ember because of her appearance. The babies, I just termed them frickin' frack.
Yeah, well, those are good names for him.
Nothing sentimental.
Sounds like those are perfect names for him, considering how they're acting.
Well, there's a restaurant here in Kansas City called Frickin' Fracks, and I really so that was the first thing that came to mind was Frickin' Frack.
Yeah, like I said, those are great names. Let's get to the next question from Wandering Bull 369. They want to know, do you get a sense of human intelligence from the dogmen?
Yes, they're highly intelligent. Um, it's almost even hard to look them in the eye because you can just feel it. It's just it's just loud. It's just expansive and obvious. Yes, they're very intelligent, and it's almost frightening. It is frightening.
Oh, it is. Yeah, that's one of the most frightening things about these guys, how intelligent they are. The next one's from Kosuke. He wants to know, did the pups have tiny monkey raccoon hands?
They yes, they have tiny hands. I didn't get to see the hands very much because they wouldn't hold still. But they have tiny hands. Yes, they're born with their hands intact because they sure have a good grip on them. Of course, they'd have to. They have to be able to hold on to her with something. But yeah, they've got hands, little tiny hands.
Makes you wonder when those little dudes sleep.
Hmm. When does she sleep? Is what I want to know.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a really good point. Poor thing. Well, this next one for you is from Shalom Shaw, and they want to know, do you think that the dogmen can sense fear, aka surge in adrenaline?
Are you talking about like from me? Oh yeah, they sense everything. That's what they pick up on their energy, vibes you put. Well, just like a dog, they recognize and they pick up on fear. That's
I
just what I
apologize.
think.
I apologize, Kim. For some reason, you broke up there. Can you answer that question again for us?
The answer is yes. They pick up on fear.
And they're masters at causing fear as well. But
Well,
yeah, that's
yeah,
certainly
yeah.
great.
And I think that's a big basis on how they react to you. Because when I saw the big guy for the first time, I was giving off fear, and he kind of acted kind of cocky and the look, here I'm here, look at me, big brawny guy. But this time he wasn't like that. He was totally different because I'm not afraid of him.
And I wouldn't be surprised if he knew from the earlier interaction that you're no threat to him or to Ember or to her pups or anything of the sort. So I think that's probably why he was more laid back this time. Could be wrong, but that's just my opinion. Got another really good question for you from Mary. And Mary wants to know, have you ever had any dreams about Ember?
No, no, I haven't. But if I had, I wouldn't be surprised.
Well, down the road you might have some. It's hard to say.
I don't
Let's
know.
get That's right. Let's get to the last question here of the night for you. It's from Dale Mansfield. And Dale wants to know, Kim, do you think Ember saw you?
Oh, I know. Definitely, she saw me. We make eye contact.
I think one of the reasons why he was asking that is obviously she had her hands full with the puppies, but from the
No,
way
no,
you described
no, she knew I was there.
yeah, from the way you described everything, I got the impression that she was looking at you for the duration of the whole experience. Don't want to jump to
Yeah,
conclusions, but I got the feeling that was the case.
I'm pretty sure she saw me. But it's like I said, we made eye contact.
Yeah, I'm
So,
sure she did. I bet she was glad to see you also.
well, I don't know about that, but yeah, I know she knew I was there.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if she was, but that's also a guess, so we don't know for sure. Well, before we get out of here, Kim, do you have any closing comments you want to put out there for us?
Uh, just don't be surprised what you're going to see in the woods or along the roads because you just never know.
Isn't that the truth? Never a dull moment.
Huh. No, never a
Never
dull
is.
moment. You just never know.
With all the experiences you've had, it really does make you wonder what's next. It really does. Hopefully, nothing but good experiences and no more experiences with that strange blonde one.
Don't know. Yeah, that's weird. The space place it came out of was weird too, but anyway, just have to wait and see. Hopefully not. Really don't want to run that one again.
I don't blame you. Yeah, it really makes you wonder what that was all about. But having said that, Kim, I can't thank you enough for coming back. I really do hope that you don't have any more negative experiences, like I said. But if you have any experiences, period, and especially if you need help with them, please do let me know because I'll be there for you.
Thanks, Vic.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks again so much for coming back on, of course, and have a great night.
Bye.
All right, that's another one in the books. I can't thank you guys enough for listening to the show and supporting the eyewitnesses the way you do, of course. If you happen to be an eyewitness yourself If you want to speak with me about your encounter because you need help, or if you just want to be a guest on the show, please go to dogmanencounters.com and submit a report. If you do that, then I'll be more than happy to contact you and schedule a phone consultation with you. So please keep that in mind. And of course, if we do speak about your encounter, if you need help with that experience, there's never any pressure to come on the show. That's something where if you want to do a show, we can definitely do one, but there's never any pressure to do that. But having said that, thanks again so much for listening, everyone, and have a great night.